So let's have a little discussion about role play. More specifically, how to do a proper role play as a high ticket closer. There's really 3 points that I want to get across in this video, starting with practice harder than you play. Time and time again, I see people getting on calls, getting on role plays, especially beginners, especially people that are trying to get on their very first offer. They're doing role plays with each other and they're just role-playing lay-down buyers. They're just being the easiest prospects in the world. Everything is happy-go-lucky. Oh, this product is amazing. Yes, I'll pay in full. The role plays are just too easy. And for your first couple role plays, totally fine. You're just trying to understand the structure, totally fine. But people, they'll do 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 role plays like this. Say, you know what, I'm good. I've got this down. I'm great at sales. Like, I'm killing my role plays. They'll pass, they'll do everything they need to do. They'll pass an interview. They'll get on an offer. Then they'll take their first call and then they'll bomb it. Or they'll be like, well, what the heck is this? Like, they'll get one objection, or someone will be a little bit difficult at the beginning of the call when they're framing it. And they'll just freeze, they'll stutter, they just don't know what to do, they won't handle it because they don't actually practice it. So the first thing you wanna make sure you're doing, and more so you wanna make sure your partner is doing, is making the call difficult. And what I love to do is, like I said, practice harder than I play, which means my role plays, the prospects that I'm in front of, not all the time, but sometimes, and most of the time I'd even go as far as to say, should be a more difficult conversation than anything I'll ever see when I get on a real call. And when you do that, the real calls are just easy. The game is easy. The closes are easy. Everything is easy because I've practiced in hellhole. Like, you know what I mean? And again, not literally like you don't need to make it that difficult, but at the end of the day, it should be harder than what you're going to see typically day to day on real calls. That way you're amply prepared for what is out there, right? So what I mean when I say practice harder than I play, what can they actually do to make it difficult? You want your partner to give you difficulty when you're framing the call, right? So for example, you go through your regular frame. Hey, I'm going to ask you some questions, see if I can help you. If I can, then maybe we can talk about what it looks like to work together. Have that person jump in and be like, oh, well, can you just tell me the price? Like, have them jump in and make not necessarily interrupt you, maybe sometimes interrupt you, but other times just, maybe try to interject, maybe try to take control of the call. Maybe when you're doing discovery and you're asking questions, make sure you're like super reserved and guarded with your information. Time and time again, I'll see people do a role play and they ask one question, and their partner just like spills the beans and just like says everything that the closer wants to hear. And they don't even have to learn how to properly probe and dig for information and find out what the real problem is. Maybe have a prospect come on and do a role play where they're answering questions and they think that the problem isn't the actual problem that they are struggling with, right? Maybe they're like, hey, I want to, like, maybe you're role playing a fitness offer and someone comes in and let's say their biggest issue is they're just eating too much calories. They're trying to lose weight. They're trying to get in shape. They're just eating way too much calories. But then when you're asking them, hey, what are you struggling with? They're like, yeah, I just don't know which workouts to do. I just don't know how many reps to do. I just don't know, like, should I go slow on the eccentric, fast on the, like, you know what I mean? They're just saying all these things that are not really the problem. How do you deal with someone that is like that? How do you help reframe their mindset to help them understand what the real problem is, right? If you don't ever practice these things, when you get into real calls, you're just not going to know how to deal with it and you're going to fail. Like, you know what I mean? It's simple as that. Obviously giving objections, practice handling objections. Have your partner play different avatars. Don't always have them give you the same look. When you role play like that, when you practice like that, things will get a lot better. Second thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to make these last two super, super quick because I didn't expect to rant for 4 minutes on the first one, but that is like the big one. Second thing is, don't be afraid to break it up, right? Like, I get a lot of people that just do like hour-long closer call role plays. Cut it up. Like, you're going to get a lot better repping out one thing than trying to get a little bit of practice on the whole thing. For example, how many people, like, let's say you have a partner and you want to go once, he wants to go once. How many of you have like 2 hours to go through the whole thing together and actually get good practice in? And if you spend 2 hours together, that means you guys are practicing everything once. You practice the pitch once, you practice handling objections once, you practice the frame once, you practice discovery once. Is that efficient practice? No. Look at any sport. What do? Basketball, they get in lines and they just rep out practicing layups. They rep out practicing different kind of shots. They rep out one play. Soccer, hockey, whatever the sport is, they take one element of the game and they rep it out. You do the same, right? That means that when you're getting on calls with people, if you've got an hour with a person, if you've got 30 minutes with a person, you're gonna say, hey, dude, I'm just gonna frame the call like 30 times in a row and then you go. Right? Or dude, I just want to just get that first like 5-10 minutes of discovery. And I want to get really, really good at finding the real problem. I want to get good at probing. I want to get good at digging. And let's just rep that out. Each set is like 10-15 minutes. Let's go over and over and over again. Maybe 5 minutes. Let's go over and over again. Hey, dude, I'm getting on this new offer. Or hey, I'm really interested in selling in this niche. I want to get really, really good at pitching. Like, let me just practice pitching a service. I'm just going to come up with an offer. We're going to just write out an avatar of what your pain points are and your goals are. And I want to get really, really good at tailoring my pitch to that avatar. And you know what? Let's just come up with a couple different avatars so I get good at tailoring the same pitch to multiple different avatars. You know, I want to get really good at the consequence section and really diving deep there. Like don't be afraid to break it up. That way, in an hour session, you might be able to get 3, 4, 5 practice runs in that one thing, which is going to serve you way better than just getting one overarching practice of one whole call. Way, way better. You're going to get way better at sales in general. And lastly, get comfortable with being on camera. I see people do role plays with camera off. Not that there's like anything inherently wrong with it, but there are a lot of offers where you're going to be on camera. So just get used to it. Right? Like if you're doing camera off because you just don't feel comfortable with the camera being on, that's what practice is for. It's to get all of that out of you, right? Be uncomfortable here, because if you can't be uncomfortable here, like what's gonna happen when you're on a real call and you have to turn your camera on? Are you gonna let that be the time where you work out the kinks and work through your comfortability? No, work through it when you're uncomfortable, when there's not much at stake here. It's practice, right? So get on camera. Act like it's a real call. Simulate a real call as close to as you can. Like not every single offer is going to be on camera. There are offers where it's off camera, but you know, I'd rather be good on camera and off camera and not have to be on camera than be like, hey, I kind of like, I tank, I suck, I'm nervous, I stutter, I do this and this and that. Well, as soon as the camera's on, I can't do it, right? So better to have the skill and not need it than need it and not have it, right? So I'll end it there. Those are the 3 things. Practice harder than you play. Don't be afraid to really break it up, practice multiple things, and get comfortable on camera. Get used to it. I'll leave it there. You guys have a great rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.